Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sandy Frank's political podcast for a people's revolution against the corporate fascist state. I am your host, Sandy Frank, and today we will be talking about a lot of things, but in particular, let's look at or let's at least start with, because we want to branch this off into a lot of things, but we want to talk about Bill Maher today, and just continuing talking about the corporate media and everything they're doing and the psychological operation they are performing on the minds of the people of the world with this Donald Trump show. But let's go specifically into the story about Bill Maher. So Jeremy Scahill of The Intercept has who's a regular on Real Time with Bill Maher on HBO. He's a regular on this show, and he has decided not to come on the show, to come on Bill Maher tomorrow, which is Friday, because Bill Maher has also booked Milo Yiannopoulos of Breitbart to come on for the interview portion of the show. So let's kind of just get all of the facts out about what Jeremy did, and just kind of clarify. So what the Glenn Greenwald is putting out is that he's sticking up for Jeremy as he should, but he's also pointing out that if you look at Bill Maher's show, people are calling Jeremy like a coward, alt-right Milo supporters, and I guess Bill Maher supporters probably. They're saying of Jeremy how he's a coward, that he's not going to go on the show to debate Milo, who we will get to in a moment. And that's not true. They're saying that Milo is scheduled for the interview part of the show, which is like the beginning of the show, and Jeremy would always be on the panel of Bill Maher's show. So no, he's not being a coward, because Milo, he's not even going to be talking to Milo on the show. They're not even in the same segment. Which is one thing to just keep in mind, that it doesn't come from cowardice. What Jeremy's doing, it's protest of the normalization of, and we need to define Milo and Breitbart right now, because if I was in Jeremy's position to go on Bill Maher, and Bill Maher had someone like Alex Jones or Paul Watson, or someone to this extent, even Roger Stone. I know Bill Maher would never bring on, or maybe he would, but I would go on a show and to talk with Alex Jones and Paul Watson and Roger Stone, even though I disagree with them, and many of their policies are just as racist as what Milo and company are putting out. But to differentiate Alex Jones from Milo and Breitbart, especially Milo, he has a history of neo-Nazi and white nationalist policies that are reprehensible. Yeah, Alex Jones will lie and say, like, no, I'm about liberty. I like liberty, and I like, all these people. But Milo has a history of of let's call it neo-Nazi tendencies. And I'm not saying Alex Jones is not somewhat responsible for helping to grow this neo-Nazi alt-right movement based on Islamophobia and brutalizing Middle Eastern nations because of lies about people's religion and lies about people's culture and the way that people in Muslim nations behave or whatever. Alex Jones is putting out these lies as well, but there's no one at the more forefront of it than Donald Trump and Breitbart and Milo and this extension of the Trump regime. And that's not to say I wouldn't interview Donald Trump. And maybe if I was in Jeremy's position, I would go on anyway, and it's maybe if I got the chance to talk to Milo, I would debate him. I'm not saying that I'm defending what Jeremy's doing is protesting Breitbart and Milo's Islamophobia and their Islamophobic genocide, which we'll get back into in a second. But if I ever had the chance to talk to these Milos and these Alex Joneses, I would just bring the truth at them about how this information about Islam, people of Islam being disproportionately somehow violent or crazy, it's ridiculous. And the disgusting fucking United States of America is going to tell anyone about what is civilized and uncivilized. The country that has been bombing Middle Eastern countries for 20 years, killing millions and displacing and destroying the lives of millions more. The United States practicing economic fascism on its own people, on its own population, and then finding cheaper slave labor and setting up gigantic systems of slave labor that enslave millions all over the globe to fuel this empire. So we have so these are Milo and Breitbart are Islamophobes who are lying and sensationalizing at the service of the Donald Trump regime, who we'll get into more later in the program. But I just want to go back to Milo and Breitbart being Islamophobic genocidists or genocidal Islamophobes, however you want to call them. And I want to just make it clear that Bill Maher is just as big as a genocidal Islamophobe or Islamophobic genocidist as Milo and Breitbart. HBO and the Time Warner, which owns HBO, and CNN, these are all Islamophobic outlets who put nothing out except lies about Islam and sensationalism about the need for more war industry and more war. So, the point we want to be making here is that Bill Maher is the same thing as Milo. Bill Maher is the same thing as Tommy Lahren. These left-wing Democratic Party hacks, not even left-wing, just corporatist Democratic Party hacks who are working to advance militarization in the world because they just spent 8 years of worshiping Barack Obama and worshiping everything he says and getting rich off of the Obama regime and what that entails. But here we see, just to point out for our independent people's revolution, our people's movement, we see the both sides of the corporate fascist state right here, and the both sides of the corporate media who who have the same exact agenda, but put on this little teleplay, this fake little stage drama show about how they actually have differing ideas when they don't. They serve the same corporate interests when it all comes down to it. You know, if Jeremy Scahill was looking for a real kind of protest, he would write a letter to Bill Maher saying he's never coming back on his show. And that's not to criticize Jeremy, but you know, Bill Maher's show has been nothing but years and years of ramping up Islamophobic tensions, when the realest and like the most woke thing that has ever happened on Bill Maher's Islamophobic sideshow circus act, real time, when the most like woke thing is Ben Affleck of all people calling out Sam Harris and Bill Maher for being exactly that, Islamophobic genocidists and genocidal Islamophobes. You know, when Ben Affleck calls those two morons out on being Islamophobes, you know, millionaire Ben Affleck, you know, you have a problem about all those differing opinions you think you're having on your program. Bill Maher prides himself on, I'm about differing opinions. No, he's about the cosmetic appearance of differing opinions. Of Ann Coulter and Joy Reid, who, when it comes down for it, are motivated by the same corporate influences who control our corporate media. You know, to say that there's any differing in opinions between Joy Reid and Ann Coulter is a laughable statement. It's just ridiculous. But nevertheless, we see the corporate media still plugging Bill Maher, the universally reviled Bill Maher. I would like to see actual polls on what, you know, the popularity of Bill Maher. He's reviled by all. This guy, even the Democratic Tony lackeys who hate him wrongly because they think he's too hard on people. That's a fucking joke. You know, this guy has no support, and the corporate media is just another example of the corporate media just propping these people up and pretending they're popular and fudging their numbers and pretending they have more support than they actually have, which is it's just really none at all. But you know, this Bill Maher person, this is who the corporate media points to and saying like, ooh, this is the establishment Democrats far left. This is our naughty time. Our real just sticking it to the establishment guy. Bill Maher is the most establishment motherfucker in the history of establishment motherfuckers. I mean, this is someone right out of the bullshit school of the Christopher Hitchens bullshit of Islamophobic. Of genocidal Islamophobia disguised as new atheism or like new skepticism or some other. I mean, I'm an atheist and I'm a skeptic. You know, Christopher Hitchens and Bill Maher and Sam Cedar are genocidal Islamophobes and you know, not skeptics and not these academics and intellectuals they claim to be. They're brutes for power. They're lovers of power. They love power, and they love they love imperialism. Is really what it comes down to when you really diagnose the lunacy of people like Bill Maher. I really don't know what is going on in Bill Maher's head, and I really didn't know what was going on in Christopher Hitchens' head when he was alive. It was just the rantings of brainwashed people who've been led to believe that lies about Islam, lies about a terror. And listen, I'm no fan of, you know, theology. Don't get me wrong about criticizing Bill Maher and Christopher Hitchens. You know, I'm an atheist. I am a secular humanist. I am a dialectical materialist. I'm a believer in science rather than hocus pocus. What did Han Solo say in Star Wars? Whatever Han Solo said in Star Wars about religion. But this new atheism movement was hijacked by Bill Maher and the corporate media to sell genocide and Islamophobia. These corporate media shills have been completely co-opted to go smiley face Barack Obama war, and even now that Trump is president, people like Bill Maher are still sticking to their guns. These stubborn types of people like Bill Maher, they're still sticking to their guns about everything they thought and said and wrote about lies about Islam. And so that's really why you see Milo on Bill Maher, is because Bill Maher is going to bring this kid on at the behest of the corporate media and say how both of their foreign policies about murdering the families of people in Muslim nations, committing more and more genocide, 20 years and we get a free sub, murdering millions of people in these countries. They're gonna, Milo and Bill Maher are gonna make each other look good, and they're gonna make their Islamophobic and genocidal worldviews based on lies look good. That's all this is. The HBO and Real Time, which is what corporate is. It is corporate media. Corporate media doesn't do anything against its own benefits. That's just not how business works, and that's just not how the business of media works. I worked in the media companies, worked for film companies, did a lot of different kinds of jobs for a lot of different kinds of companies, and these are corporations, folks. These are HBO, and Time Warner and CNN and other Time Warner. I worked on a lot of these kind of different stations and platforms for a lot of different kinds of jobs, and let me tell you, they believe in the preservation of power and the acquisition of more power, and that's about it. They're not putting anything on there that, especially HBO, that ain't gonna make them and the things they've said in the past look like they had some great historical context, and they would only bring Milo on if they're gonna do exactly what Bill Maher did with Tommy Lahren and Trevor Noah did with Tommy Lahren, is just throw pithy little remarks at them, little jabs that the Washington Post can do a limp-dick little editorial on, and they're gonna strengthen Milo's base, and they're gonna get Milo more people, and they're gonna strengthen him. It's really what's the big problem of what's gonna happen. They're gonna make this neo-Nazi more powerful by also making themselves more powerful. Even though support for these corporate news outlets and media outlets are hemorrhaging like crazy, but tomorrow night you can bet your bottom dollar that Milo's going to get another big spike in publicity and media attention, and that's what the corporate media, Democratic establishment media wants. It wants to keep raising this person up as the supposed populace. They want to point to the anti-establishment movement and say, hey, they're all a bunch of neo-Nazis, while also making this neo-Nazi movement even more powerful. We see, we see this happening all the time. Again, we've talked about, when this was first realized by the mass media and the journalists and researchers, that the Geraldo show in the 80s or the 90s, when they brought on the neo-Nazi and there was a big fight, support for the neo-Nazis went up, and every time that the network played that episode of Geraldo, neo-Nazi crime went up, and neo-Nazi recruitment went up, and up and up and up. And we see this is the way that the people who control the media understand that this is the way that it works, and they're not doing it by accident. They're doing it to paint a populist message as fascist and as a neo-Nazi movement. But this is what Bill Maher and the corporate media are in the business of, and they don't realize how it's actually hurting them in the fake establishment, or in the establishment Democratic liberal elite media. They don't realize that, yeah, Bill Maher, you're going to get it in the Washington Post and in Salon magazine, but the 90% of the fucking country who hates you and wants to take you down, you make them stronger as well. And Bill Maher creates more danger for himself, to be quite honest. But we see the corporate media trying to do nothing but play this little drama teleplay, Reds versus Blues, to just build up an overwhelming bipartisan support for war with Iran, and war with Russia, and war with China, and war. That's what they want. They either want to get Trump to start a war, which is possible, and we'll talk a lot about Donald Trump later in the show, but just to stay on the corporate media, and then we'll get into what's been going on today. But we have both sides, the Republicans and Democrats, trying so hard to fearmonger with Iran and fearmonger Russia and fearmonger China. See it again and again and again. These have real world consequences. These have ramping up tensions with two superpowers could leave the Earth, destroyed in a second. Boom. I'm not talking like, oh, we have to go underground and have a half-life of like 200 years or whatever. No, I'm saying that this could, the power and the number of the weapons we have that would go off if World War III started. The Earth would not be a solid object anymore. It would be dust in the cosmic wind. We wouldn't even, no one on the Earth would even realize it happened when it happened, because it would just vaporize the Earth, and it would happen so quickly that you wouldn't even sense it. It would be like, ooh, pop, and it's done. All of us in an instant. And we have a corporate media that just keeps sensationalizing and sensationalizing, and as if it doesn't have consequences, as if there's not any ramifications for constantly, every single day, Russia, every fucking day, with no one really buying it, but the elites. And these elites, they're the ones who hold the power. They're the ones who go to war. All they got to do is convince Trump or impeach Trump and have Mike Pence do it, because Mike Pence will do what he's told. But The next step is Iran. You don't think the United States has 900 to 1,000 military bases all over the world, especially in the Middle East, especially surrounding Iran? You don't think this? We are locked and loaded to go to Iran, which will be the powder keg to lead to Russia, China, Russo-Sino war. Right, Sino is the prefix for Sino is the prefix for China. The Russo-Sino, whatever it is, it's the Orwellian perpetual Oceania, Eurasia, East Asia perpetual warfare, and that's all it is. It'll be the same thing for the Russian governments, the Russian elites, and the Chinese elites, as well as the Western elites. It'll just be a game with us, the 90%. And now we see the corporate masters who are, they're ready to go. You could just see by their narratives that no one ever buys, but when the little teleplay on CNN is going, Putin, Trump was on the phone 5 times a day during the campaign with the Putin and with no evidence of any of this happening, with nothing to give to the press to verify, and the corporate media doing nothing but turning around and saying how, verified information like WikiLeaks is the reason why Hillary Clinton lost. It wasn't. She had no support, and it was her fault completely. But, it's like the Marie Antoinette media is what we're watching with this Democratic establishment garbage with Neera Tanden and Peter Dow and Joy Reid and Rachel Maddow. It's the Marie Antoinette media. None of it's their fault. None of it. They don't even know. They can't even fathom what even you're talking about when you blame Hillary Clinton. It's Russia. It's James Comey. It's WikiLeaks. It's Bernie Bros. Jill Stein. Susan Sarandon. And Susan Sarandon is amazing. But she just tweeted out, Susan Sarandon, this morning, after all this shit of her being dragged in the mud by the liberal elite for, saying the right thing, which is we need to reform the Democratic Party, and of course you can't say that, so the Neera Tandons and the Chris Hayes and the Jeffrey Wrights, will these millionaires will bash you and hate you. But Susan tweeted out a picture this morning of her in 1982, and it's a picture of her being arrested and brought to a police car, and it's just like, Susan Sarandon's been doing this for years. She's been standing by her convictions for years, and she's, always been standing up for her values, and, she knows the game. This was her getting arrested in 1982, and she'd been an activist since the 60s. This is the life of the people who speak truth to power, the Susan Sarandons and the Glenn Greenwalds and the Julian Assanges and the Edward Snowdens. This is the cost of speaking truth and checking power. Giant corporate elitist news conglomerates rouse up a bunch of people who don't know anything, millions of people who are just looking to feel safe and secure and protected. They activate these people to smear and to deflect and to conflate and to get every other issue on the table except what Susan Sarandon was even talking about, which is addressing the fact that we don't have a democratic republic and we live in a fraudulent democracy, and address corporate money in politics and lobbyist donations and where we're going to get our money from. Bringing this up. this is what turns you into the big pariah. This is what but we need to take Susan Sarandon's lead and Jill Stein's lead and John Mubaraka's lead and continue to speak truth to power and organize an independent movement of people who want to take our democracy back and to save our environment. We have, but the corporate media is just going on and on and on. And good God, after this Trump, Trump just gives them this ammo. Trump, this psyop, who's not to be trusted. There's a lot of people I see who are like, because the corporate democratic media for frenzying war against Russia and Iran, just because these people have become bigger enemies to you now, which they should be and should have always been. But to then say, like, now I support Trump more. Support Trump more what? What? Trump is just as much as a warmonger as these people. Just because Trump is being smeared based on bogus information, bogus evidence, doesn't mean you need to stand by the guy. You need to speak the truth and say what's actually happening, which is the CIA is trying to influence and the elitist, global elitist controlled deep state is trying to influence our elections. Is trying to override our elections. We need to actually look at Donald Trump. Like, Donald Trump, I'm still waiting for, like, one of these things he was criticizing Hillary Clinton about. I'm still waiting on just locking them up, these these criminals, and Trump directly addressed what their criminal actions were, and where's the follow-up? We've had a Muslim ban, we've had an order for a wall, we've had banking regulations gone, and all of these things that are going to help the corporations. So when is this supposed new JFK? And that's really what I'm getting at. I'm getting at the Alex Joneses and the Paul Watsons and the Trump supporters who keep putting out this shit about Trump being something he's not. Where's this JFK figure who was going to splinter the deep state into 1,000 pieces? Where is this person who was going to take on these global elitists playing their game? We have a petulant child who's making everything that Donald Trump says he stands for look like shit. And if the person who's supposedly competent enough to get to the presidency is now unable to even articulate the qualms that many of his supporters had, like these global corporate elitists. He's coming out in this press conference today, making faux pas after faux pas. Telling a black person, like, oh, you must be friends with the Black Caucus. Good God! If this person isn't, like, purposefully compromising himself, I don't know what purposeful compromise is. Donald Trump is a fucking snake. I don't trust anything that comes out of Donald Trump's mouth. He's just as much as a corporatist as any of these people. The guy's got an ego. This guy who's been a part of this Clinton organization, this global elitist lifestyle for his whole life, now coming out and campaigning on draining the swamp, it was a lie. This guy yeah, he'll try to do something cosmetic to appease his base who want, people to be dragged out onto the world stage and charged with pedophilia and human trafficking and many other things and thrown in jail forever. And he's even said execute these people. It doesn't seem like that's the way he's really going in terms of what his supporters wanted. But he's obviously, I don't want to talk about Donald Trump for too long. I just want to make sure everybody knows that speaking truth to power, like Glenn Greenwald just said, he tweeted out, I can, not like Trump and not like, deep state, corporate, global elitist controlled, corporate controlled. I can not like both of those things at the same time. It's possible, and I won't, I won't choke on my gum and trip over my shoelaces. Speaking truth to power is not, just going from one partisan pulpit to another. That's not what it is. We're not supposed to be just become Trump supporters and stand up for Donald Trump just because we've realized that the Democratic establishment and the establishment government as a whole is controlled by corporations and really wants to hurt people with these wars they're pre-coming in their shorts for. So we see Donald Trump and Alex Jones and Paul Watson and Drudge and Breitbart and Milo and Bill Maher and all the rest on the different side of the coin as what they are, and they're controlled opposition. Donald Trump is this bumbling moron who just keeps giving the establishment corporate media more and more fodder, more and more ammunition. And I know he's got some shady people around him who might be misinforming him, and I know Donald Trump's not very intelligent or politically savvy, but boy, is there a polarizing, partisan, psychological operation controlled opposition, if I've ever seen it, than the Donald Trump, Alex Jones, Milo crowd. These people who most people wouldn't ever want to touch with a 10-foot pole, mainly because they would be seen as a pariah by the Bill Mahers and the Rachel Maddows. But yeah, Donald Trump, despite everything that's happening to him and how much real journalists need to speak truth to what is happening to him, that he's no angel. He said Putin was a killer, but he said there are a lot of killers. There's a lot of people to be wary of. You go out in the woods and you don't protect yourself from the wolf by laying with the lion. The lion will kill you just as fucking fast. We want to move through the woods together as an independent movement that we can help each other and teach each other the real ways to protect ourselves and the real ways to take back our power. But it's important to just completely remember exactly what is happening right now with all of this corporate controlled media, which is about 90 to 95% of the media in the United States. And I'm talking about all the television channels and all of the television channels, all the radio stations, all of the newspapers and editorials and online Facebook, Twitter, Google, most of the media we see and consume, it's controlled by corporations, and it's not journalism. And that doesn't mean that people take that to mean that I think that everything that put out by corporate media is fake and not factual. That's not true at all. They're very savvy in how they shit it. They excrete their bullshit propaganda. They mix in a whole lot of facts, and then they describe the big lies as the sneaky things that they get past most people. So it's really a dark time we live in, but we've always lived in. It's not going to get any better unless we start working together and seeing these things for what they are, and start trying to get more people to be with us. It's a lot of work, but if we can make our own movement to counter both of these crazy sides of the same coin, then we can very easily take back the power that's been taken from us. So the corporate media is not gonna take back itself. It's not gonna. The elitists are not gonna take this media brainwashing state that it has spent all of time creating, just to hand it to us when we realize what this bullshit really is. When we need to be the ones to take this back. We need to be the ones to reclaim our media, which is one of the biggest and most important parts of all this. The reason why these elitists keep getting away with everything is because they control the story, they control the narrative, they control what people think about it. When a ridiculous, crazy person like Joy Reid can reach millions, that has a big effect on people, a big effect. It really puts people in a mindset. And this is the fact. This is the power of the mass media. This is the power of these corporate interests having this much power. It brainwashes millions of people to blindly following the Democrats and the Republicans. So it's insane, really. But the point is to organize with each other. The point is to organize a real movement that has a specific set of what we want, which is the splintering of the deep state and the transparency into our government, and the government that works for the people, and the media and the press whose duty is to speak truth to power and to check power, and to not be PR firms for corporations, not to be lobbying firms for corporations, but first we have to admit that there's a big problem, and we need to make a lot of people see, which they already do, but there's just, sensationalized media works a lot faster than, rational debate and discussion. We're up against a machine that can, fulfill people's urgent political needs, which is for Donald Trump to be a Kremlin puppet, like the Democratic establishment says, or that radical Islam is about to burn down the entire world, like the establishment right says. We can't offer that. We can't offer them, immediate political gratification. It's if we're going to speak truth to power, we need to do it. But our goal is not to be a sensationalist media. Our goal is to speak truth to power, but to form an independent news source that can counter what's coming out of MSNBC and Breitbart, which are the same thing. But it is, we don't have that on our side, that we're not the sensationalists ones. I've tried to be kind of sensationalist, faux sensationalist in my tweets and my headlines to just draw attention to some of my issues. I'll say that there's some sort of like Game of Thrones style palace coup going on in the with the deep state and the Donald Trumpers and the la-di-da-di-da. I'll say this, and then just to try to make the story a lot, catch people's eyes. But yeah, we're not sensationalists. We're revolutionaries, and those are the opposite of things. Revolutionaries, put the truth out there about how one class is being oppressed by another elitist corporate class, and we act based on the best ways of countering that oppression, and that's the narrative we have, is that we're being completely oppressed by this corporate permanent government, as Julian Assange would say, that feels it has the right to use our press for to play their little game, to play their silly little game, and they don't. It's not. We're not gonna accept this anymore. The press, the corporate media, just doing the bidding of the deep state. So we need to stop it wherever we can, but we need to truly organize for actual resistance. You have who's in the the corporate resistance now. You see, Oprah. Oprah is the one who's in the who's one of the main resistance leaders, according to the Young Turks and Atlantic magazine. You have billionaire Oprah, who's this person of the proletariat. Not at all, not a little bit. she's she's proven herself as a corporatist through and through, who really worships her own power and her own influence. She's and she's going to be the one to lead the resistance and the patriots and the Rockettes. These people. It's the definition of controlled opposition, folks. It's the definition of just being led and sheepdogged and gaslit by corporate fascists to make you give up your rights and to give up what you want and what the world where all people are supposed to be living in right now, which helps all people and not just corporations. So we need to always be wary of the controlled opposition, not just Oprah, but again, back to Donald Trump. I'm not saying that Donald Trump has never said anything good or campaigned on something that I would want to happen, but we're now seeing just how much his campaign promises meant. The same as Barack Obama's, which were jack shit. He's nothing but a preservative for power, and Donald Trump's not even a preservative, to be honest. Barack Obama was the preservative who could put the entire anti-war faction of the country and the world, or just the country, to sleep for 8 years. Barack Obama is the true preservative. Donald Trump is trying to preserve something in acid, the xenomorph acid from Alien. It just burns it away and corrodes it in a second. Donald Trump is destroying the visage of and the facade of these corporate elitists that smiley-faced underwear model Barack Obama was able to accomplish because he was such an effective fascist. Trump isn't even a very good fascist. He's just blatantly telling Jewish reporters to sit down and shut up. Just blatantly, and he's no Barack Obama by means of preserving the corporate state. I guess that's something you could point out about Donald Trump, to say he's not establishment, because he's actually destroying the establishment. But as we all know, Donald Trump is not smart enough to think of something like that. As I see him, he's a bumbling idiot who the corporatists really don't want there. Mainly because a lot of the stuff he campaigned on that scared a lot of the people in power. That's a big part of it. But and they're not just afraid of Donald Trump. His supporters really want these things that he promised, and I want a lot of the things that Donald Trump promised, which is jailing a lot of criminals in our government, which is what I want. And I'm not shitting on the people who support Donald Trump. I respect a lot of the people who support Donald Trump, but we need to understand that these figures that we hold up are nothing but controlled opposition. So just in conclusion, Donald Trump and Milo and Alex Jones are just as big of controlled opposition as Bill Maher and Trevor Noah and Rachel Maddow, Barack Obama, and Hillary Clinton. They're the same fucking thing, folks. They're the same fucking sides of the coin, sides of the bullshit fucking coin. And they're just this little fake cartoon put over your eyes to to make you think that there's actually some sort of conflict or dialectic going on in the government, and there's not. There's just the preservation of power and the hope of squashing any type of real change. But fuck Bill Maher and fuck Milo. So yeah, I'm Sandy Frank. Thank you for listening. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, do whatever. And organize yourself. Organize the things you want to. And yeah, we need to come together for a revolution. And when we do that, we're gonna really succeed. So thank you, and I will see you in the next one.